you're going to run a lot with Emmett Johnson. This is going to be a day where if we get 50, 60 snaps in, I'm expecting 30 of those at minimum to be runs with Emmett Johnson and Isaiah Mozee, and probably another 5 to 10 at minimum with Latif. I think his legs are going to be the difference in this game.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think a lot of us know that. I think that's the biggest thing, is just a lot of us understand what this offense is going to look like. And I don't think there's going to be too many surprises. There's going to be opportunities for him to air the ball out deep, and they're going to let him take those chances. If he makes a mistake, then they might reel it back in. But they're going to give him those opportunities, because UCLA is one thing, but what you're trying to do is you're trying to also give him opportunities and set him up for the next couple games down the road. So if you can't let him take shots in this game, then you can't risk that in the other games, because you got Iowa coming up. It's a much tougher defense than UCLA. So we're going to have to test some things out against UCLA. But I do think this is a prime opportune game for him to come out and really kind of try to test some of those things out, because it is a weaker defense. And, we'll start to kind of see what are the high percentage plays and what are the plays that he can handle, what are the plays that he can't. And we'll also see kind of how this offensive line operates, in front of him. It's like I said, it's going to require them to be a little bit more, quick and athletic with the rolling pocket, with the moving pocket. And it's going to take a little bit of adjustment. They're used to a pocket quarterback back there throwing the ball. And so I don't think enough people are talking about maybe the potential stresses may have on the offensive line. But again, it could help them in a lot of ways as well. So
speaking of the offensive line too, that's something we need to really talk about, and how it can affect our game plan and TJ as a quarterback. You're on potentially, I know Elijah Pritchett practiced today, but how ready is he going to be come Saturday? We don't know that answer. Maybe he re-injures it. You're on Turner Corcoran, who, quite frankly, I think isn't practicing much during the weeks from some reporting I've seen.
Sorry, that was Huddle playing an ad. I was pulling up Amir Brown's film, and Huddle played an ad. So,
but then also Tyler Knack. So really, you're very thin at tackle. God forbid, maybe Elijah gets hurt, then you're swinging Turner back to the left side, or maybe Turner gets hurt. You're very thin with the injuries you've already sustained at the tackle position, where your backups right now, you're looking at Preston Taumua, a redshirt freshman, if I'm not mistaken, at left tackle, who is primarily a guard. And then you're looking at Grant Bricks, who has not traveled at any point this year, has saw maybe 20 snaps all season.
Crazy potential, but just not experienced.
And the biggest problem, I think, for Grant's sake, and this is not a knock on him, is they don't know what he is right now. You remember last year he started at left tackle, then he moved to left guard, then he moved to right guard, and now he's your third string right tackle.
Yep.
So he's constantly moving, and he's moving a lot early in his career. So his development is probably being hindered as a result. So how healthy that line can stay for this game, you need to get through one more game, everybody. And then you're going to see a big jump between now and Penn State, because you got that bye week sandwiched in between.
Yeah, and how you I'm pretty sure. How are you feeling about that Penn State game right now?
I think it's our most winnable game.
Penn State has been bad. Am I the only one that's just like a little? The only thing I'm scared of is like Penn State is still talented. So like I feel like they're always like sneaky, every single week, just because they still have all that talent on the team, but they're just not well coached right now.
Yeah, we can't act like they haven't recruited at a top 10, top 5 level for the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just haven't been developed. They haven't been winning, but that they still have those dudes. And on their senior day, there's going to be a lot of guys that want to go out with a bang.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's our most winnable.
It is. And that game really, it's one of those things where it's like that game has still kind of been on my radar just because of that's just such a good team. So, but I think really everything sets up very well for this week. And then, like you said, then we go into a bye week before UCLA, or for Penn State, and then following up that with Iowa. So,
and last anything else? Checked, they still have Patron Allen.
Was that?
They still have Katron
Yes.
Allen.
Yes.
Like that guy
Yeah.
still exists. And he's one of the best running backs.
Yeah, that team is still dangerous. So we can't, but I think this UCLA game, that's another reason why I think with this UCLA game that TJ Lateef does have to come out, and we can't play too safe with him. But I do think if Nebraska comes out and does what I think they could, because I do think, UCLA coming off a 56-6 loss to Indiana. I do think there's opportunities for him to come out and take some risks this game. And I think we might see that. And maybe he makes some mistakes. Maybe he doesn't, But I still think we're in pretty good shape overall with the rest of the season. So I'm going to dive into some of the comments here. Word of the day: adversity, and how it will define this team. First one. What's up, Bone Leg Corn Fed? Appreciate you hopping in here. I'm going to miss the love stream today. Brian, are we in love?
100%. What kind of fucking question is that?
I wanted to get my question here. Do you think with a different quarterback, with the ability to run, do you think we may see more holding calls since Dylan doesn't run? Can you back out? Come back out. I'm echoing already.
I got a backup tab loaded and ready.
Let's go. We're prepared. All right. Brian will pop back in here. There we go. Yes, it's a potential, but I think that's going to be a big stress this week, is just trying to make sure. That's why I said we got to be quick. Our linemen got to be quick with their feet. They got to be mobile. They got to be agile. That is something they have been working on, but yes, there is an opportunity there, because as soon as you start moving that pocket, if you get those DBs or those defensive linemen moving before you, your first initial instinct is to grab, because it's a lot easier to drop back into pass coverage without a moving pocket and be able to get in front of a guy. So I think there's potential, but I don't want to speak that into existence, if you will.